Then it's open. I turn off the microphone to Congresswomen-Elect, and then we will have we're going to take about 45 minutes for answering questions, and let them each candidate, each Congresswoman-Elect speak a few minutes, and then answer any questions. And then the lunch will come in about 12:30, and then we're going to leave here about 1:15. And as the end of it, when we finish the press conference, then we will announce, we will present you Marina Tse, they from Washington D.C. came here with an API, the new Asian American Pact, which is very important. So she will announce about the introduction and announce about API, the Pact. So this is once again historical moment, the beginning, new chapter begins at page 1, right here. So get going. Well, microphone.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you for setting up this meeting, and I'm just so grateful. Nice seeing you, Marina. Marina and I have been working together. But if I give you all the years, and you know what, it's going to show our age, so I'm not going to say, but I've been knowing her forever. So thank you. And you know what, this is really important. Like we just won in November, actually 10 days. I won by 8,000 votes. Young's going to talk about we won by landslide. That's what we call. But you know, after the election, actually, we didn't have any chance to get any rest because we had 2 orientations in Washington, D.C. First one was 2 weeks, and then we had a little bit of break to the Thanksgiving, and then we went back another orientation, and then we came, and now we are in Georgia. This is so important for America because we came here, if we can say really big, we came here to save America, actually. That's why. I'm a first generation Korean American. I was born in Korea and I was raised in Japan. So I speak Korean and Japanese as my first and second language. And English is my third. And you know what? Government actually harassed my mother to make me run for public office as a first generation. That's the reason I ran. I had a compassion to help small business owners. That's the reason. When you have a compassion, it doesn't really matter who your opponent is, you end up winning. This is my 5th election, I won all 5, and I am so grateful. I am the one actually example of American dream that I won all 5 elections. But I am so grateful that I can help for other campaigns too. In Georgia, those 2 U.S. Senate seats are so important for, not just for us, but for the American, because those 2 candidates, they have a business background. Those 2 candidates, they understand Asian Americans. Those 2 candidates, they are very much inclusive people, not that the other party that who are divisive, who always try to pull down people by their race, and it doesn't really work. Young and I, first generations, we came this far, means that, you know what, you have to really emphasize inclusiveness. That's what Republicans are doing. Another thing is the end of the election that you all heard that, you know what, that people try to say that government has to be balanced. Right now, congressional seats that we are very close, majority versus minority, but still Democrat is charging on it. U.S. Senate has to be Republican side. So people can hear for both sides, Republicans and Democrats. So this is the really important election. That's the reason that we came. Just last night we came, and we are leaving tomorrow morning. But I am grateful to participate for this election cycle. But I hope Asian Americans are going to come out and they vote because we are always staying under the radar. I was a AAPI White House Asian American Task Force under Bush, and I am member of Asian American Task Force in the White House Asian American Task Force under Trump. You know what? We always stay under the radar. Somebody else is going to do it. My kid's going to be an attorney. my kids are going to be the doctors, but we are staying under the radar. Somebody else is gonna do it. No, it's not gonna work. In Georgia, I think Asian votes is gonna be the deciding vote for this US Senate campaign. So I wanna mobilize Asian Americans, and I'm so glad that Sunny's doing, I'm so glad Marina's doing, I'm so glad that Rick's doing. I mean, you know what? We really have to mobilize Asian Americans. In my district, I had only 3,900 Korean Americans. This election, 73% voted. That's the record break. If we work hard, we can speak. This is our voice, and you know what? We have to raise our voice to have a stronger community. So let's do it, and that's why we are here. That's why I'm here, and I'm so grateful. I just want to introduce my husband of 39 years, and you know what? He's a saint. Just follow me around these days. I use Michelle Steele's wife now. He is Michelle Steele's husband. So you know, we're working really hard here. Let's make sure that we win, and we're gonna make better path for our younger generation. That's why we are here, and thank you very much.
I too want to start out by recognizing someone that's very important in my life, and that's Young Kim's husband, Charles Kim. And also traveling with me as my staff district director, she was my deputy campaign manager, Lynette Choi. And if anything, if anyone can do things, she can make things happen for me. So I want to introduce Lynette because she's going to be an integral part of my Team Young going forward. Any of you who has follow-up questions, please reach out to Lynette. But I also want to give a big shout out and thanks to Mr. Sunny Park for organizing this event and bringing us all the way from California, 4,000 miles, because we recognize the importance of the future of America is right here in Georgia. And we share his passion. We understand the importance of the Asian American community playing a big role in shaping the future of America. That's why we're here. So Michelle and I are here to lend our support, lend our voices, and make sure that the two senators fighting for their lives, but for our future, Senator David Perdue and Senator Loeffler, they are truly the leaders that our community needs here in Georgia, but with their voices, not only will Georgia be on the map, but they were going to help America stay the course to make sure that the United States become the true world leader that it deserves. America has a lot of challenges. Despite those challenges, America is great. But it can only be great and greater if we have the right leadership. And that leadership hinges on electing and re-electing these two senators. So let me tell you how important the Asian American community is, especially here in this election, 3 weeks away. As Michelle mentioned, my race was not called until 10 days after the election day. So imagine those 10 days for me were like living on pins and needles. During that 10 days, the flashback of what happened to me 2 years ago. I ran for the same seat against the same guy that I ran this time. We won on election day. We had the lead going into the first week of the freshman orientation at the time. I went to Washington, D.C. to join the rest of the freshmen-elects for orientation, only to find at the end of that week, it had turned. I had to come back and concede that we didn't make it. That's how critical every single vote is. And to tell you, 2 years later, when we talk about winning this race by landslide, I actually won by 1%. 1% in a district with close to 400,000 registered voters. Close to 80% of them came out to vote in this election cycle, and I only won by 1%. That goes to show you how important it is. That goes to show you how the next 3 weeks will be critical in keeping the Senate majority. Republicans picked up a lot of seats in the House, but it was not enough to change and flip the majority. So we need that checks and balance on the Senate side in order to keep the administration accountable. That's why your vote, your support through the media is important, that we get our messages, how critical Asian American vote is critical, how important our Asian American voices are important in shaping the foreign policy. As I worked with Congressman Royce, who was the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I had come to understand the importance of raising our voices. And I want to be able to continue to do that as a newly elected member. And my work, hopefully, when I get on the Foreign Affairs Committee, is not only going to shape the policies of the 39th District in California, but we will be able to contribute that message at the national world level. And when we elect David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, we would have already established a relationship in a bicameral legislature where what we do on the House side, we'll be able to have advocates on the Senate side so we can get our policies moved through. That's why it is so critical. If we lose the Senate majority, we're not going to be able to have that changes and make that influential changes that we need. So it is really important. I'm going to use my experience of the 20 plus years that I've worked and learned working with Congressmen and Royce, but we're going to chart our own pathways. As Michelle mentioned, I 100% support her and concur with her when we talk about making the way for the next generation to follow our path. Now that we're in this position, we will be able to support and cultivate and recruit and mentor the next generation so that there will be more of our voices, collective voices that will really look out for the best interests of the Asian American community. And being a very small number of Korean Americans serving in the House, we are making history. Michelle and I, we are the 2 of the 4 Korean Americans elected to serve in the House, but we are only the 2 conservative Republican voices. We need more. We've come a long way for this to happen. And we've come a long way to realize a big dream that Mr. Park has laid out 30, 40 years ago. It's about time we grow our numbers. It's about time when people like Mr. Sean Steele, we honor him as the honorary Asian American or honorary Korean American by virtue of marrying Michelle. He's a saint, not just because he married and puts up with her, but also my husband Charles, one of the early pioneers as a Korean American, as an Asian American, in a state like state of California, which is completely blue. They stood tall to help people like us. When the gentleman stays in the background and now lets us, the housewives, formally, and now we get to go out and be your representative, only in America that is possible. Our election is a proof that the promise of America is real. And this is the evidence that the American dream is very much alive. We want to be able to pay forward. And that's why we're here. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And before we enjoy delicious lunch. Thank you.
You know, I don't know about you, but I'm sitting and listening to Congresswomen-Elect speaking. I want to cry. I really, last night I wanted to cry. Tonight, this morning, and now I want to cry. We've been talking about, think about it once again. this day, this moment, long many years. Korean Americans, Asian, Chinese Americans moved here 180, 170 years ago. And Koreans moved to the United States about 115, 17 years ago. Vietnamese Americans, the major ones, they only came here about 40 years. Now, this is not just talking about, let's do this. This is real. This is real. It's not dreaming. We're not reading book or reading somebody's column. This is real. I'm right here with you. This is I can talk all night long and cry. So such a wonderful that I want to share one thing because it's so important to the Korean Americans and Asian Americans know about this. I think the country is moving very fast to socialism. That's my personal opinion. And then you heard from candidates and the Congresswomen-Elect, they go along with it. Moving to socialism. Socialism sounds great because you give it free. Things are free. Every time you have a problem, don't worry, government will handle it. Well, I'm not here this world. I don't think God created my life just to be stand in line for waiting for somebody to give me. No, I want to be somebody give. I want to keep that position and then give. That's the Republican Party. It goes with it. Conservative. They call it conservative, no matter what they call. But I want to be a person that the God actually created me for. God give me birth and life with fingers and head and eyeballs. I want to make most of this gift free and then do something and produce something and give it out to somebody who is unable to earn their life. However, socialistic, in order, you think it sounds like the socialism is for the people. Wrong. To my knowledge, to my dictionary, it's not wrong. They're just treating, there's a misleading American people. Well, people, normal people in general. It's actually tool. Socialism, Marxism is a tool to motivate the people to vote for them, and one day keep giving until they're addicted to it. And then once they're addicted to the Senate line and comfortably taken, and then what happens? And then start with the condition. In order for you to get the free bread, you got to do this, and you got to do this, one after another. And then what happens? You're surrounded by all the restrictions. That's called you give up your freedom. I lived in the Vietnamese, and I was 9 years old in the Korean War. I lived in 2 years under communism. I tell you, we have to get the visa, get the permission to go to visit my cousin in another county. You cannot travel there because when you visit your cousin in a different county, there's no free meal. You only get a free meal at your county where you live. You want to go travel to visit your cousin, you have to go there, and you don't want that your cousin will get starved because you have to share the meal. You have to have a card to stamp it. That's the end of it. Maybe I'm paranoid. Some people think I'm paranoid. I'll tell you what, I'm fine. I'm almost 80 years old. I'm fine. In my age group, have no problem at all because it's not going to change. I hope not. Change it so quickly. My kids, your kids, my grandkids. I don't want them to live. I want them to live society like this. Say what you want to say. Anything you want to do, go ahead and do it. I don't want to take up too much time. This is a precious moment that our Congresswomen-Elect did. So I want to emphasize that. And then David Perdue and the Kelly Loeffler is the one to elect. So this election is so important. No matter where the party affiliation, no matter who you vote the last election, this is the key election for the future of our children. That's how I look at it. Now your time for a question.
May I ask the first question? Well, welcome to Georgia. And my first question is to both congressmen. what kind of special sauce from your experience running in office over there in engaging young voters, especially young voters in this area? As you know, Gwinnett used to be very blue. It used to be very red, and it shifted to a very blue county. What is your guidance or advice in engaging this group of demographics?
So in our campaign, since the first time I ran for California State Assembly, we were very successful in doing the internship program. We engaged young students, high school, even junior high school students and college students. They are looking for leaders where they can be kind of look at them as a mentor. There's just not enough Republicans run for office. Therefore, when us is running for office and we open it up for them to participate, either as an intern or volunteers, we were able to capture their interest, and through the course of campaigning and volunteering on our respective campaigns, they get to understand why we are running as Republican and they understand our values. And so we maintain their interest. And then this election cycle, we had about 300 high school and college students. They were able to help us, especially even during the pandemic. And because it was during the pandemic, we actually benefited from utilizing their technically savvy experience because we were doing everything virtually. So just keep talking to them and giving them the opportunity and talking about the consumer values. I think that was very, very important in changing their minds. Because you're right, the state of California is very blue state. It's even more so. And during my campaign, we were always talking about what happens when we let the Democrats take over and allow them to make decisions. In the state of California, they also understand, even though they are youngsters, we talk about like 85 legislation. It's better known as an Uber bill, where it kills innovation, it kills jobs. Even young students understand. When we talk about issues that really affected their livelihood, and it was easy for them to understand, my goodness, the Republican Party is the party that really affords the opportunity for us to grow. So it's very important that there are more of us, Republicans running for office, and then we can engage their interests. We might have more to that.
I think 2020 was very interesting election cycle because I've never seen so many young high school and college kids volunteering. We had a few hundred each, and they were just working really, really hard. On the top of what we did, I've been doing a lot of internships like Young Dead, and we brought out all the younger generations, not just for the politics, but government, especially I'm a chair for Internal Board of Supervisors. We have 3.2 million residents living in there. So we brought them in and make sure that they can have the experiences, what they want to go into. But I learned very interesting cycle this year because they're speaking totally different languages. So we want to messaging, what kind of things that Republicans are doing, especially for those campaign, the college campuses. So what we did was we trained them, those kids who are volunteering with our campaigns, we send them out to, they can speak same language with them. That's the way we recruit more college kids. So it's very, very interesting that, sometimes younger generations are not speaking same language, but their peers that text messages to when they go out, recruiting these college kids, it was very, very important. So we are actually using our volunteers and their same ages and same college students, their colleagues, they're the one went out there. What Republicans, I think, 85, we killed all the independent contractors' jobs in California completely. We went out for Section 22 and only for Uber and lift that drivers that they can get it back. It's very tough to work in California. A lot of college kids want to work part-time and they totally get it. And then another thing is we have the Proposition 16 that racial preferences or that we had a proposition in 1996 and it got killed by the voters. They brought it back. We were kind of like going out there. I think Young reported, I reported, and you know what, this affirmative action comes back. So number who's not the Asian American kids, not just the colleges, but government contract jobs after graduation. So we were relaying the issues that they are really related to their future jobs and their jobs. So that was really important. So that's what we did.
There are good fluent Korean speakers too. So 한국어로 질문을 하셔도 괜찮고 한국어로 대답합니다. You fluent?
Yes.
Almost.
That's my first language. So I can yes.
I'd like to ask it in Korean.
Sure.
그 지금 조지아가 원래 되게 공화당이 계속 강세였다가 최근 이번 정부에서 민주당이 이렇게 오고 있는데 민주당하고 공화당하고 이렇게 밸런스 이렇게 공화당이 이렇게 상승하고 있는 이유가 첫 번째 대목이고요. 두 번째는 지금 퍼듀 의원이나 그 공화당 상원의원들 지지하시려고 왔는데 어제 모임을 가지신 걸로 알고 있는데 어제 모임 어땠는지 좀 두 가지 질문드립니다.
Last night, there was a fundraiser. We had a fundraiser. You saw the advertisement. We had 어저께 마음을 2,000불에서 10,000불씩 fundraiser 했어요.
네, 얼마
우리가 13만 불을 모았어요. 이게 이 한인 커뮤니티, 에이시안 아메리칸 커뮤니티만 아니고 메인스트림에서도 도네이션을 해가지고 13만 불을 모아가지고 그 캠페인을 돕게 됐어요.
그러면 두 분한테 그냥 지금 아까 다시 정리해서 말씀드리면 공화당이 그걸 비교하다가 민주당이 독대하고 있습니다. 그러는 이유랑 그다음에 이번에 퍼듀 의원이나 그 러플러 의원이 승리하려면 어떻게 해야 되는지 그냥 짧게 얘기해 주시면 식당을. 나중에
컨트리뷰션은 뭐 레퍼러랑 그쪽 캠프로 가고 또 하고 있어요. 그래가지고 그 친구도 가고 밸류 컴바인 전부 합해가지고 13만 불.
네, 지금 저희에게 해주신 질문이 조지아에 원래 이렇게 카소대를 갔던 그런 스테이트가 이제 민주당으로 많이 변했는데 그 이유가 뭐냐 물어보셨습니다. 저희는 캘리포니아에서 왔기 때문에 이 조지아의 그 체인지됐던 그 다이내믹을 여러분들이 더 잘 알 거라고 생각합니다. 그렇지만 제일 중요했던 거는 오버 타임에 우선 그 뭐랄까 이 민주당에서 보면 의원님들이 좀 더 이 커뮤니티 아웃리치를 민주당 쪽에서 좀 더 효과적으로 하지 않았나 그런 생각을 합니다. 그리고 the Democrats tend to be more welcoming of the minority community and ethnic communities. 그런 차원에서 이 친숙한 면을 더 잘 보여줬던 게 우리 그 조지아에서나 캘리포니아에서나 민주당에게 더 친근감을 느끼면서 가깝게 다가가는 그런 결과를 초래하지 않았나 그렇게 생각합니다. 그리고 이 중요한 거는 정치라는 게 relationship based거든요. 근데 민주당 의원들이 좀 더 잘 나타나서 이 악수라도 한번 하고 사진도 한번 찍고 이럴 때는 굉장히 그분들이 우리를 위해서 일하는 소수계를 위해서 일하는 또 민주당 하면은 소수계를 대표하는 대변자들이 일하는 것이라고 생각하지만 저희가 생각하기에는 그 정책 면에서 비교를 해볼 때 그렇지가 않거든요. 근데 그 정책을 compare and comparison하고 compare and contrast를 하는 그 목소리를 내줄 수 있는 공화당 의원들이 더 많이 없었다는 거. 그런 차원에서 우리 이당 조지아도 그렇고 민주당도 그렇고 그런 차원에서 더 민주당에게 많이 바뀌어졌다는 그런 느낌을 받았습니다. 요새는 미디어가 너무 발달돼서 지금 현재로서 사람들의
우리 그 캘리포니아 같은 경우는 두 스테이트지만 저희 오렌지 카운티 같은 경우는 폴로 가고 있는 중이에요. 근데 그거는 제 생각에는 당파성 너무 파티션 바이스하기 때문에 모든 사람들이 인디펜던트로 가면서 그렇게 되는 것 같아요. 그래서 저희 같은 경우는 영스 디스트릭트 말씀하시는 제 디스트릭트 같은 경우는 27%의 인디펜던트인데요. 아직도 제 디스트릭트는 아직도 공화당이 5.5% 플러스. 그런데 그게 지금 가고 있는 중에는 그 하나의 이유는 당파성이고 또 하나는 우리가 젊은 사람들에게 어필을 못한다는 거. 그래서 공화당 같은 경우는 메시지를 제대로 릴레이를 못한다는 거. 더더군다나 이미그레이션 이슈 같은 게 저희가 반대하는 거는 illegal immigration이라는 걸 정확하게 밝혀줘야 되는데 일리걸이 아니고 이미그레이션 자체를 반대한다는. 그래서 그거를 민주당이 퍼먹할 적에는 공화당은 이민자들 반대를 하는구나. 이런 식으로 나오는 여러 가지 메신저들이 잘못되기 때문에 그렇게 되지 않나 그렇게 생각하고 있고요. 이제부터는 특히 캘리포니아 같은 경우는 많이 바뀌고 있어요. 왜냐하면 이번에 2020년에 팬데믹이 오면서 부터 지금 완전히 클로즈하는 상태거든요. 식당에 이렇게 인도에서 먹는 거는 애틀랜타 와서 처음 먹어요. 그래서 이런 것 때문에 사람들의 그 마음이 바뀌기 시작하면서 이제는 조금 더 공화당 쪽으로 사람들이 가지 않나. 비즈니스를 프로모트, less tax를 하고, less regulation 해줘서 비즈니스를 도울 수 있는 사람들이 그래도 공화당이
Please,
많이 바뀌고 있어요.
we have very limited time, so please have your lunch while 충분한 time proceeding.
While having lunch, I'd like to introduce Marina Tse from also California, but she stays at Washington D.C. for a long time. We don't have much time to talk about her biography because the 5 pages long, and then we will take me about 20 minutes to read her biography. Garry Guan is with us, and Marina and I met about 30 years ago in Washington D.C. She was over anywhere they have interest in Asian American and Pacific Islanders. So it's just so great to have her in Atlanta. She flew in from D.C. this morning just for talk about just the API, and it's obviously for 4,000 Runoff Election. So here is she was working in various departments of government, the U.S. government, the federal government, and transportation department and education department. She's actually a PhD, so she's been studying and she's been knowing about the country. I mean, as an Asian American for a long time. So maybe it's a great time, great opportunity for us to learn about the future of our community, our ethnic group actually. Here is Marina Tse.
Thank you, Sunny. We were talking about Asian American Invisible. Now it's no longer invisible. Thank you for inviting me being here. And Sean Steele, Sean is really is an inspiration for all the Asian Americans. Sean, 30 years ago, I was listening to you speaking to the Asian Coalition in Sacramento. Because you, I joined. Thank you. And I can't tell you how difficult, how hard young Kim and Michelle's, they tried to get to be elected. And the consistency, the spirit, and then the effort they put into it is tremendous. And I still remember a young kid came on at 10:30 at night and saying, "What do you eat for me? The letter?" You know, they work late, they work hard, and everything else, and they really, they are our role models. So, with Sunny's and Garry's and all the teams and the help, we formed a coalition that's called Georgia Asian Pacific Islander Coalition, focus on turning out the Asian American votes ahead of January the 5th runoff election. And our coalition, an honorary advisors, Park Steele, Michelle Steele, and Yang Kim. And where we have all community leaders get together from this coalition. And Sunny Park, you are the Georgia Korean American Community Chair, and Garry Guan, and then Georgia API and Chinese American Community Coordinator. And then thank you, Garry, coordinating all group together. Together, we will make a difference. And then a lot of them were saying that they're focused on votes, right? And whether they win or not win, it's API community. And we also, very honored to have Tim Lee, and as a Georgia Vietnamese American Community Chair. Tim, let us know you. And he has organized a home band, all kind of activities, and he's going to get the Vietnamese American votes. I know that. And then Paul Young's here. Paul Young's is among them as a joint as a chair. And we have Rick Desal being here, thank you. And Georgia Indian American Community Chair. Anyone else?
Marisa couldn't make it either. Marisa
As a
Filipino, yes.
Yes, she will join us as a coalition. We'll roll things out, get the votes, and then we will make a difference at this re-election. Thank you.
Yes, I'm glad to have this opportunity, and my name is Garry Guan, and I was the state senate candidate as a Republican, and unfortunately, I'm not like this two lady that succeed. I did not. However, the same evening when I found out I did not win, I already knew that we're going to have a runoff for one of the senators at least at that time. But it turned out a few days later, we ended up having two. And I know how important this is, so I immediately devoted myself. I immediately devoted myself, continue the campaign, immediately transition into helping them. And as a matter of fact, I decided before I know the result of my own election, because I conclude even I have won, I would not take office until later part of January, and I would still have enough time to help the senators to win their race. And now, as the Democrats from all over the country come to Georgia and try to pour in the money, the people, to help the Democrats take the control of the Senate. And for us, this is very crucial. And for real opportunity, we Georgians, voters, will determine the future of this country. And we have been given such an important, crucial task. And we could not let the country, let the American down. And we have to work very hard and everything we can do. And as Asian Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, this is one of the things we can contribute is united and work our voters out and cast our vote for our two excellent U.S. senators, both Perdue and Garry Loeffler. And I will do whatever I can and coordinate all the group and with their strong leadership, Korean, Vietnamese, Indian, and Filipinos. And for this year, for the first time, we bring Hmong Americans into our ranks as well.
Thank you, Garry. Fantastic. Okay. I would like to invite Rick up to the podium and talk about the why we have to re-elect our two senators. Representing Indian American community is huge, and he is a leader, or one of the leaders at the Temple Indian American Temple in Liberal.
Thank you. First of all, it is an honor to be with all of you, Congresswomen-Elect, those of you who guys are trailblazers, especially in the Republican Party. We are so honored and so proud to have you with us. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I certainly want to thank Sunny, who has been one of my good friends and mentors since 2003, since I had a chance to serve with him in the Governor's Asian American Commission. And I've learned a lot from him, and he has worked very hard for the last 40 years to be able to see two young Korean Americans being elected to the U.S. Congress. I want to talk just a little bit about what is at stake and why it is so important, and why the Asian community specifically plays an important role in this particular election. Technically, as it does in every election, right? In this particular election, the numbers are so close, and all of you that are here that are Asian American obviously know the impact of Asian Americans. The impact of Asian Americans here in this great state, and especially here in Guan County, right? And the thing that I want to bring out are the similarities that Republicans have with the Asian American community. Majority of the Asian American community believes strongly in legal immigration, believes strongly in strong family values, believes strongly in the value of education, believes strongly in keeping business, letting business owners do what they do best, which is run their businesses, and keeping government out of those businesses. We believe in low taxes. We believe in freedom. That is why we came to this country, right? And so, when you look at all of those issues, if you look at Senator David Perdue, when you look at Senator Kelly Loeffler, both of them are outsiders, political outsiders. Senator Perdue has spent a tremendous amount of time in Asia in his previous life as the CEO of Reebok, and he has done various things in and around. He used to live in Singapore, has had businesses in India and other places, factories, so on and so forth. He was also the CEO of Dollar General. He understands what it takes to make this economy tick. That's why the President Trump, leaned on him heavily to give his advice so that the economy can be as strong as we need it to be. And if you see the first quarter of 2017 and the CapEx jump that happened, that was all because of Senator David Perdue and his leadership and his guidance to President Trump. Now, Senator Loeffler, she was born and brought up on a farm. She did some small jobs and then eventually came to Georgia and slowly got into business and became extremely successful. Her family now owns, the New York Stock Exchange. They're extremely well-to-do people. When you think about why is it that people that have so much for themselves, why do they want to put themselves out to do this? And I can tell you there's only one reason to do that, and that is because their heart is to serve the people of this great state. I have worked and known both of them for quite some time, and I can personally tell you, as many of the leaders in this room can, that they are true to serving selflessly to this great state, and they appreciate the contributions of Asian Americans in this great state and across the nation. They understand our issues, they understand our values. We have regular conversations with them. I can vouch for that. And I know that I'm not alone in having those conversations with them. They're very attentive. They want to make sure that they do what's necessary to address the issues of our great state, of our great, of our very diverse community.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do think that it is extremely important because the numbers are so tight. And as Ms. Mariana here mentioned, we believe that the deciding votes in this election are going to come from the Asian American community. And they are going to take the conservative values and take the proper, good senators into the next level and keep the majority. The other thing is that if and when if President-elect Biden ends up taking the helm, and we need to make sure that there is someone there in terms of the Senate to be that firewall to make sure that we don't have radical changes and we continue to maintain the future of our great country. So thank you very much. Sonny, thank you for allowing me to say that.
Yeah, you know, there's someone in the room remind me that this is the first time that the U.S. Senate is visiting Korean American community, Asian American community. This is significant. The reason they come because they value our vote more. Both parties actually bombarding with ads and the call calls all over. So this is an important moment for. At the same time, we need to promote our community. Asian Americans are an integral part of this country. This is a fantastic opportunity for us to do that. And then in that, we need to show our unity. The unity is the one we are sort of missing. Asian Americans live here, however, we are not speaking the same language. We actually found out there are 52, among the Asian American Pacific Islander community, we have 52 languages. And this is hard. The Hispanic community, no matter they come from Mexico or Central America, another country, or even Spain, they speak the same language. But we are not. So that is the kind of issue. But there's a way to do it. Influence each other, just motivate each other, stimulate each other. And then this is momentum that the Korean American actually elected unseated Democrat. And they elected the U.S. Congress. We gotta use it. We gotta use most of it and generate our young people. I mean, that motivate our people, our young people. This is the thing. So hopefully that we can see some in the future come. Like to see Asian Americans be united. For that, I'd like to invite Tim Lee, representing the Vietnamese American community, to talk about why we have to re-elect our senators.
Thank you very much for taking the leadership and to help put this together. I just want to express how inspired that I am to see two wonderful congressmen from the Korean community stepping up to that national level and to contribute, to take charge. And this is so wonderful. In addition to the two other Congress, I think there's a congressman and also a Congresswomen-Elect from the Democratic side. So for the Korean community, congratulations. Wonderful. It's kind of like to me it's kind of bittersweet because we can't get there. The Vietnamese community, we couldn't get to that level yet, but we will. We will. Thanks to your inspiration, we will. In 2004, we had the first Vietnamese American congressman, Mr. Joseph. He's a friend of mine. We've been working the last couple weeks on trying to kind of like rally up the Vietnamese community to put their effort and energy into the re-election of Senator David Perdue and Senator Loeffler. So we're working hard on that. We know that this is such an important election, and then Georgia, basically makes that determination as far as like who is going to be which party is going to have the majority. U.S. Senate. So for us, we've taken it very personally. We want to make sure we put in all our resources in this one basket to make sure that our senators, from the GOP party gets elected. On another note, the Vietnamese community, we are outreaching to our young professionals. We are advocating, we are trying to push them to step up and take leadership position. Since 2010, we had our first Vietnamese American Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. And from there on, we are starting to see, Vietnamese American city council members, state representatives, and so on and so forth in various degrees throughout the United States. As a matter of fact, one of my really close friends that we go to Temple together, she 4 years ago, she became city councilwoman in the state of Washington. And she just called me about last week, wanting to run for U.S. Congresswoman this next 2 years from now. So I'm very excited about it. I think all communities should focus on their young leaders and try to promote them, get them to step up, follow the footsteps of our Congresswomen-Elect. I think this is a wonderful time in history, even though the country is going through some chaosity. But I think this is a wonderful time within the minority communities to take that challenge and step up and become a part of this country leadership.